Okay, I've got some flare blades here. I'm going to deburr for a view. A flare blade, instead of being 3 millimeters wide here, it flares out, and then you have the radius of hollow in here. So the part that hits the ice is actually larger in millimeters. And these are marketed as a enhanced hockey blade here, 6 millimeter flare. And there's a little diagram here. So I sharpened these in the last video here, and they have a nice burr all the way through here. I used a Sparks unit, and they've got a burr. Now if you take a skate blade, flare or non-flare, and you go through and you run your finger and you find a burr, if you do this you can actually catch a burr in your fingers, so you have to be careful. You just want to run it really quick and get a little burr. So when you take a stone on here, it's not like on a conventional skate blade. You just put this on the side like this to knock the burr off. You've got this area here, so the stone's got to go from here. This is parallel from here down. You don't want to go up onto here, so you want it to be on this region when you're doing the honing. So if you look at the blade here, you can see right here is where the flare is. So you can take the stone and put it on here and just run it along like this to knock the burr off. There's all different types of stones you can use. This is actually one that's from Sparks. It's a white stone. If you got a blade that's black, which is non-flare, you don't want to use a stone. You want to use a piece of leather or something like this to knock the. You can use a piece of an old belt too, just to knock the burr off. You can use a piece of cardboard. You don't want to scratch this magic surface on a coated blade. So on here I could feel that nice burr. Maybe hard to see right there. There's another stone that is used with the Incredible Edger called a Cratex, C-R-A-T-E-X, which is a nice finishing stone. You can go just gently bring around here and it takes off the just a small amount. Now there's some like Pro Sharp have a whole kit of stones. Sometimes people want to take one at a slight angle as the final pass. That's kind of a judgment call because you're kind of purposely dulling them in a graceful way. Sometimes people find skates too sharp. You can also use a piece of grit, 300 or 400, to stick it on here and just knock that edge off like this. There's nothing really magical about these stones. You can get several different types. If you're competitive or something, sometimes people use a coarse one, then they go back to a very fine one like this. You can hold this on here. You can actually feel it kind of drag as it removes the burrs. I've got all the burrs removed from that one. Here's the other one. Again, you can get a nice metal sliver in your finger if you're not careful on some blades. I can feel that kind of drag. And I've got this to where it's on the flare. So when I'm doing it, the stone is like on here. It's not like this. So I'm holding it to where it's on the flare. And that's to knock off. You tend to get a little burr like this sometimes where it rolls over. So you're doing is you're knocking that off. And then, oops, whether it's a conventional skate blade or flare conventional, some people come by with one at a slight angle like this. Then you're going to have to where this is the radius of hollow. It's like you've cut off something like this. That's also why emergency sharpener tends to do this. I don't really like to do that. Sometimes I'll just take a very nice 600 grit and just take a light, here's it done. Sometimes I'll just take one like this and just do a very slight pass. There's some people like that, and you're purposely sort of dulling it in a graceful way to where it's got just a not a totally cutting edge on there. So on this last flare blade, put this on here. This is the Kratek stone. Again, I got the stone only on the portion that's the flared portion. So all the burr is gone. You can feel that. It's all gone. And I'd had another video where I showed sharpening this. This is the prior video, I believe, that shows that it took 24 on this one and it took 14 on this one to fully sharpen these from a brand new blade that never been sharpened before and never cross ground. What I mean by cross ground, you can use a grind wheel. Some skate sharpener bench types have a wheel that's like this. It's used just to take out defects, and you go sideways. So there's a wheel mounted like on a Blade Master, I think a Fleming Gray, and another brand that you can go use just to take out a huge amount of nicks. And that's how you sharpen skates back 100 years ago. They didn't do radius of hollow. All modern skates, you've got a machine like this. This has got the radius of hollow where the diamond cuts this, so this is bulged out and the skate is this way to the blade. So if you take a blade, it's a Jackson Hines blade from 100 years ago, grinding marks, instead of being along this, were sideways because it was ground on a machine this way. And some of the old skate holders you see on eBay that people mark as antiques or something were used for either tube skates or old figure skates and things, and it was ground like this, so the radius of hollow was several inches on here. And I believe the Wasoda S8 machine after World War II is one of the first ones I've seen that ground a radius of hollow. Now this is a Jackson Hines that actually has a flare on it too. This is a figure skate blade where this is actually wedge shaped like this, and it looks like this actually. This is not 90 degrees. And so it's the same thing when you want to use a stone on here. Now a lot of figure skates have an edge relief like this. And so when you've gone through and sharpened it, this has got a side relief through here. So it's going to a point, but it's narrower than what the width of the blade is. Normally these are about 4 millimeters thick through here, but then they've ground from the factory this edge relief through here. So if you want to use one of these stones, you've got to have to hold it slightly an angle on here just to take the slight nicks out. If you hold this on here like this, you're never going to hit the edge. That's because the figure skate blade looks like instead of being like this, it has an edge relief that's like this, and then the radius of hollow is cut here. So this side is chromed, this looks ground from the factory, and the radius of hollow is this portion. So you've got to have a stone come in here sideways and match the edge relief to knock this burr off right here. And so that's a figure skate with an edge relief like this. And then you can take, let me find here's a low end skate. This is a, I don't know what this is. This is a Rydell with some type of rental blade on it. But it has an edge relief here. And then there's some real low end skates that don't have edge relief. Now here's a real low end one that has edge relief. There's some figure skates that are marketed, there is no edge relief. They just come to a straight, like a hockey blade. They're just perpendicular on there. Those are sort of rare. They're generally low end skates. So anyways, be aware when you're trying to knock a burr off what you're trying to do, because you really don't want to go through and dull it and have to go back and resharpen what you're doing. And you got blades like this one here is a gold seal, and it's got, this is actually thinner in the center than here. So this goes thick, thin, thick. So it doesn't have a good reflection through it. I mean, it's kind of for show. And so the cross section through here is thinner. And so if you never want to put a stone on the edge of a figure skate like this, because you're going to ruin the chrome. They're chrome because this is carbon steel. This is not stainless. So here you've got this nice edge relief. So you have to hold the Kratek stone just on the edge relief if you want to just barely knock off the burr. A lot of these higher end skates don't have that much of a burr. So it's just a small thing that you're doing to try to take it out. And that's a gold seal, which is a high-end blade. And that blade looks like this up by the stanchions, and then it's like, I'll exaggerate it, it looks like this. Here's the radius of hollow. You have to clamp it in the skate holder up here. And then this is, from the side view, this is a cross section. This is a cross section from the end view. This is the edge reliefs here, and this is the radius of hollow. And that's a gold seal blade. Very expensive high-end blade.